Hi, guys. Welcome to this episode of the Trainer Feed. We are your hosts. My name is Angel Sanchez. With me, I have Mr. David Bravo.
What's up?
And then Mr. Jacques Berleger.
Hey, everyone. What's going on?
You should move the mixer that way, so that way you guys can both reach.
That's so good. I trust you guys.
You trust David?
I don't, but trust him more than me right now.
All right. Well, all right. So,
Today's topic is brought to you by Angel.
yeah, so today's topic, I read an article. That's why I have some notes here so I don't forget people's names. But I read an article on the NSCA. Surprise, surprise, I read an article. Yay. It's using complex systems to help improve tactical performance. And I read this article on the NSCA's website. So on the NSCA, once you become a member, then you can access certain articles. You can access the Journal of Strength and Conditioning as well. But this one was in the TSAC report, I believe, which is the Tactical Strength and Conditioning report. And this article was by Tim Lentine and then Jay Dawes. And it was about the complexes that they use for tactical strength and conditioning. So,
What is tactical strength conditioning?
well, it speaks to the specificity of the tactical strength and conditioning athlete. So, for example, if you have a policeman
Or woman.
a police officer, let's use
Police
officer.
person.
A police person. I like that better. If you have a police animal, if you have
Yeah, they're gonna work too, man.
a police animal,
Get that pension. Let's go.
if you have that being in front of you, you want to look at the tasks of the job, and you want to make sure that they can achieve the tasks without being exhausted or without having challenges or something like that. So it was interesting because they did bring up police people, animals, police officers, and they spoke about how they did need, like, the ability to work in open spaces, because generally they'll be working in open spaces and they'll use sandbags and things like that to simulate like people, like dragging people or things away from a scene or some danger. And then they also used firefighters, and they spoke about how like they needed the grip strength in order to hold like certain hoses, because the diameter of the hoses can be a little bit wider than most people think it is, and then it's harder to hold on to, so they need to focus on grip strength, and then carries with that. So there was a lot of things that were covered, but one of the things that was brought up was the complexes. So a complex is a series of exercises. Typically it's like 4 to 6 exercises done one after the other, and then typically the rep range is anywhere between 6 reps to like 12 maximum reps. And one of the reasons why people use that for tactical training is because it's meant to help simulate some of the the training environment or the practical environment for the athlete. So if they are called to action and they need to do something, sometimes they'll have like really long bouts of physical intense work, and then they'll have to obviously be able to be conditioned for that. So whether it's like putting out a fire, or it's like evacuating people from a building, like you'll need to be able to like go upstairs, call people if you need to drag somebody out, get somebody out. And because of that, they started looking at how complexes can help with the strength and condition, the tactical strength and conditioning athlete. And there was a guy by the name of Istvan Javorek. And this guy made complexes a popular training modality, and he was actually using it for Olympic athletes. So Olympic athletes. So people who were doing like Olympic weightlifters. So Olympic weightlifters, and that's why when you see the use of complexes, typically you see them using movement patterns that resemble Olympic weightlifting movements. So for example, the clean, or for example, the snatch, which I thought was pretty interesting. And I think they've since used different modalities. So the modality has changed from like just strictly a barbell to now using dumbbells or kettlebells. And there are a couple of key points that they made. Like obviously you want to focus on not having so much weight so that you can't complete more than the reps given, right? You need to find the weakest link. So in the movement patterns that you're about to complete, which one is the hardest, and then plan for that so you don't have to just keep switching one into the other. And then also the grip style. So for example, if you're doing like a complex of a barbell row to a barbell clean to a barbell overhead press, it all has the same grip on the bar, so you don't have to place the bar down in between each rep.
Oh, straight through.
Yeah, exactly. In theory, right? Like you don't have to. You can if you need it, but you also have that in mind. So that way it gives the tactical strength and conditioning athlete the option to just either keep going through so that they can keep working on their grip strength with it or whatever, their cardiovascular conditioning. And same thing with like dumbbells or for kettlebells, just making sure to focus on that. So I have a couple of questions that I want to pose to you guys. I kind of know the answers, but do you guys use complexes in your current workout scheme or workout programs? And then what are some tools that you use for those complexes that are like your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, I can go first if you want. So I typically, on my Sundays, I do a double EMOM session, and I really mix it up. I don't go too heavy on it. I do some mixture of trunk stability with a cardio equipment, and then usually a kettlebell or a pair of kettlebells of some sort, just to kind of hit 3 different exercises. And it's really to just be comfortable working at a pretty high heart rate for a period of 16 to 18 minutes. And it keeps me humble. I did it for the first time, I've done it for a long time ago, but when I had my most recent surgery in November, my buddy gave me this Marcus Philly PDF of workouts, and it was one of them, and it was pretty aggressive considering I only had surgery like 4-5 weeks ago to do it. But it really kicked my butt, and I think there's a kind of pigging back off what you're talking about. There's a certain element of mental strength to that kind of training, where it's not that you're weak if you can't do it, but being conditioned for it. I think it probably is going to allude to what you're going to talk to you about shortly, but alluding to being comfortable about making decisions when you're not in the best environment or scenario, and you are fatigued and you are a little bit depleted, but just to have that 5th, 6th gear there, and that's what the training is for. So that's somewhat something I like to focus on, is really look at my heart rate and be training in that zone, and now being consistent or being comfortable about training in that zone for longer periods of time. So I do it once a week, because I think once is sufficient. But going back to the tools you said, it's very simple. It's never the same thing, because I can't let everybody guess, but it's typically on the cardio, I like to do the rower, the air bike, the skier, sometimes the Versa climber. And yeah, there's 2 different kinds of EMOMs I do. I do one where it's 2 different pairs. So the first pair, you do 2 exercises for a minute, the rest of that minute to recover. And the second minute is 2 different exercises. That's usually when I put the cardio piece of equipment in with some trunk stability, and I go between the 2. And then the second one, I'll do the second EMOM, if you will. So once I've done that for 16 to 18 minutes, I give myself 2 minutes to do 3 exercises. So it can be a different kettlebell exercise, a different cardio equipment, and then something else, trunk stability. It usually takes a little bit longer, and that's why it's only 3 and 2 minutes. But that's typically what I've been doing on Sundays.
It's a little bit different than a complex, though.
Well, but
just because you changed like the modalities.
Yeah, I guess it's a little off beaten path what you said about complexes, but I mean, it is usually some kind of pull, some kind of snatch, some kind of swing. It's not all complexes, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, because then it would be like circuit style. So it's like 8 exercises or 6 exercises, and you do those for 6 or whatever reps for each. And then after that, you do it again. Like you rest for like a minute, then you do it again. Then you rest for a minute, do it again for
it's
like
slightly different, I guess.
Sets,
yeah.
Which is a little bit different.
Yeah, I know it is. I've rumbled on. Sorry. Anyway,
well, I used to do complexes a long time ago. I haven't done any recently, but it used to be like barbell complexes for snatch and clean and jerk. So I would do, for example, on a snatch complex, it would be like 5 reps of the first pull from the floor to the knee, and then it'll be 5 hang power snatches into 5 overhead squats into 5 full snatches without letting go of the barbell. And those sucked. I mean, I wouldn't go too super heavy. It would be maybe like, for example, let's say I snatched 95 kilograms. I think I would do the complex with maybe like 30 kilos. That's it. Which is just the barbell and like a little bit of weight on each side, like tens on each side or something. But I would do a couple of rounds of that, and I would keep the same structure of that complex for like 5 or 6 weeks. And the goal would be to finish it in under 30 minutes or finish it in under 15 minutes, depending. Or, just get a little heavier with the weight, just maybe like by 5 pounds. So it would depend on what the goal is. And it would be kind of the same with the clean and jerk. It'll be like, power clean to front squats to full clean to jerks, and I would do that once or twice a week. And it like destroys you. I mean, it's super hard. Your cardiovascular level has to be constantly changing, and I think they're great. They're great, I think, in a way to also pattern in a certain skill. When it comes to tactical training, I think Jacques said this earlier. It will teach you how to continue working under stress and continue working while your heart rate is super jacked up, which is important, especially if you are a police officer or a firefighter where you are under stress while you're doing something. I think depending on what it is, because when I was in college, I did the NYPD physical course to become a police officer. So in the beginning it would be like the medical, and then it would be like they call it, I think, the JST. I forgot the name, job standard of training, something like that. And they would be running 500 meters or something, and then right after that you got to drag like this 180 something pound dummy, and then you have to go up and down the stairs, and then after all of that you go into this little table where they have a prop gun and a ring, and you would have to, after you did all of that, you would have to shoot through a ring without hitting the ring. So the barrel goes in between this ring, shoot, I forgot how many times, I think like 15 times with your dominant hand and 16 with your non-dominant without hitting the ring. And if you hit the ring, I think you start over or they dock some points. So I guess it goes on. It
Probably
goes,
dock some points because I don't see starting over being a
That's a
better
lot.
yeah, but they probably just dock points. But I think
forever.
that's the whole point, right? It's like,
It gets harder every round as well.
Yeah, like how much ammo you got?
that's the thing, it's like, you have to do that after you've done all that other shit.
Yeah.
You have to, like, I guess keep your cool when you're shooting.
Well, they also talk about now that kind of reminded me of sniper school, where they teach you how to figure out like when your heart is beating, so then you can figure out like when your blood pulses through your finger, and you can figure out the pauses so that you can pull the trigger within the pauses, and not to pull the trigger when your heart is beating, because that could also like affect the movement of
they
the
taught us that.
rifle.
I took a class in college called, it was like pistol shooting. It was like air pistol shooting. It was an elective.
Yeah, that's in John Jay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It was an elective. It was like blanks. I mean, it wasn't anything.
No, that's
No, it
cool,
was
though.
it was pellets, I think. I don't remember. But they would talk
That should still hurt.
yeah. Prop guns can still kill you, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
what was I gonna say? They would talk about the heart rate stuff, and if I remember correctly, he would say to shoot or pull the trigger as you are done with that exhale.
Yeah.
Because nothing's happening when you finish that exhale. You have that half a second or second to pull where there's nothing moving. Because if you're breathing in, your body goes up, and then you're missing the target. So if you're sniping, it can really mess you up. So you have to learn how to not control your breath, but know when your heart rate is lowering down, and then you're able to shoot when you're not moving at all, because it could affect the shot.
Now we're digressing, going down a rabbit hole, but like I remember there was a show that I used to watch. I forget the name of the show, but they used to have like different members of special forces, and they used to have to go through like a training thing, and then there was always like a shooting thing towards the end. And like, I don't know if this is real or if this is just like Hollywood, but they would speak about how they had different ways of shooting depending on like what branch of the military they were in or like where they were from. So some people would go completely prone, and then others would go supine, but with the knees bent, and then they would put the pistol like in between the legs, like crunch up, and then just shoot. It was just like weird. Like I guess it depends on the range and like where you're at and what you just did, and that would probably best dictate the body positioning. But it was really interesting because I saw like how they were able to manipulate different stances for shooting and shooting well. So that was pretty interesting. But now I digress. So going back to complexes,
Which I completely butchered, by the way. I completely went over my head.
right.
Anyway,
I was talking for like 10 minutes, and Doc said, "Yeah, so what I do is I go to
imams.
the gym,
We don't talk about imams
I
saying
go on the
CrossFit.
bike for a little bit."
oh my god.
That's all good. But speaking to David's point about like how he would try to perform to get like a couple of reps in before like the time, or like shorten the time to complete. In the article, they did mention like the main reason why you would do complexes is for muscular endurance, obviously, and then also exercise capacity, right? So just being able to crank out more work for a given metric of time. And I think that was important to make mention of because like obviously if you're working on strictly strength or strictly power, like there are other ways that you can do that and excel in it, right? But it's not necessarily the goal is to get stronger or generate more power, because there are better ways to do that for any given movement pattern. But it is focusing on the muscular endurance, that capacity, the exercise capacity, and in some instances, to David's point, just building the environment to work or to perform in a chaotic environment, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to. Any final notes? I just wanted to.
Anything, Jacques?
That was a cool article.
You mean on the actual subject instead of talking about my own shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. No, I think that you guys really covered it well. I think it's. I mean, that's the sniper thing was really important. I never really knew about that, about the breathing. So that was really.
That's why you suck at Call of Duty.
That's why I'm just terrible at shooting games. Yeah, I can do Grand Theft Auto because it just auto locks on target. That's the only reason why I'm really good at that.
Use cheat codes.
I should use cheat codes. I probably still suck up cheat codes. So, no, this is a really good. I think anyone can benefit from that sort of training. You know, it's talking about. I'd be really interested in reading articles because I think it's the thing with this kind of training. Again, we'll wrap it up, but it's hard to say. I definitely know that this sort of training will make them more efficient in their job. It's just because of the way their jobs are, where it's just so sporadic when you have to answer a call or fire. It's so hard to say, he saved this person in 5 seconds under. So I'm definitely promoting and believing in this training. I'm just saying it might be harder for them to really, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's hard to show that this works, in the sense that unless it's word of mouth. I believe in this. I think it is efficient. I think it is the right way. I think it's completely transferable. I just think it's hard to say, all right, you attended this fire and you saved the people, unless it's someone coming from word of mouth. I just think whereas if you were to say performance in a sport, because it's so highly monitored, because it's cameras, because, you know, whether if it's talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs or the NBA finals, right? Like I know Boston won last night, game 1. Okay, well, what did Tatum do different this offseason? All right, well, he did this differently. Okay, well, now he's progressing the playoffs. Like there's documented correlation with the training he's done. That's just all I'm trying to say is I think it's hard to, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know exactly what you're saying, but are you saying that it's difficult to quantify the success?
Yes, that's okay. I did a
Okay.
terrible
Alright.
job explaining that. It's
'Cause
exact.
You made it sound like people weren't doing their jobs.
No, I
I mean, I don't think anybody's keeping score. You know, like, hey, I saved this person in 5 seconds. Let's do it.
and I'm not suggesting that's what we do, because that's not the purpose of the job. But all I'm just saying is quantifying is hard, and you almost can't give the people that that structure these workouts and these programs for people in terms of training enough credit, because it's not quantifiable through, all right, here's your replay for how you see this person. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to give them more credit than I think they get.
Well, I think that, to David's point, that's why they go through like their training, right? So they do their training, like their tests or practices and what have you, and you have to do whatever it is in a given amount of time, or you get points, and then you have to like figure that out. So there's like tests that are administered that can be able to quantify the success of a certain task or a certain group of tasks.
Like they could be like, okay, well, we had a 100 applicants, and
Yeah.
they did this training program, and
Right.
That's
they
fair.
all did it within 5 minutes, whereas this other didn't. They did it in over 5.
Well, I'm 0 for 2 right now. Okay, I should probably wrap it up before I go 0 for 3.
Chuck, you suck,
but
bro.
no, I do think that's a valid point. It is difficult to quantify the success, but it's I guess that's part of everything, right? Like
Joe's
it's
job,
difficult to
yeah.
say like what's good and what's bad because it's more subjective, and then there's also so many different factors that are involved. It's like, I don't know. We can go down a rabbit hole often.
We always
But we're not
Oh,
going to do
you know,
that.
you know what? You know what we're doing? We're just,
Yeah.
we're just scratching the surface
We're
when it
just
comes to
scratching the
this.
surface.
Yeah,
Stuff.
That's
you will
exactly
not
it.
stop, huh?
That's exactly
What are you
right.
talking about?
This
Right.
guy.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for
joining.
listening.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on this episode of Trainer Feed. We will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Bye.